So this is a video about Excel, how to do random numbers, how to put in certain values, how to count and count based on certain criteria, and then using the maximum and minimum function. So in community ecology, oftentimes what we want to do is randomize data, and this will be particularly useful for things like rarefaction, which is in the first assignment. So let's say we want to put some random numbers. Now one of the ways you can do that is here, let's go to the insert function thing and just go random. And what we've got here is a variety of different ways that we can think of random numbers. One of the ones that I just use most often is just RAND, and that returns a number greater than or equal to 0 and less than 1, okay, with an even distribution. So it's not like normal distribution or anything, but let's just do that, okay? And so what we've got here is a random number that it was just 0.828. And then we can fill down. Let's say we want some random numbers all the way there. Okay. Now the interesting thing about Excel is every time you enter something in, so if I just put a letter in here and hit enter, all these random numbers will change. Okay. Put in another letter. As long as you change the state of the worksheet, all these random numbers will change. And it's kind of nice sometimes, lets you do some things anytime you delete it. Now let's say though these random numbers then I've put in here and I want to sort based on those numbers. So you put random number in there, right? Okay. If we want to sort that, actually let's not even highlight the data and see what happens when we go to data again, hit sort, and it kind of just automatically thinks that knows what you're doing. That might work sometimes. You'll have to see what happens with that. So let's say we want to sort by this random number, and then you hit sort by random number from smallest to largest. And what that is going to do, as long as these numbers are random, it will randomly assort this column. And there we go. So it's hard to see that all these numbers changed positions, but what happened is notice that these numbers, this random number column, is no longer from small to large, but it used those numbers that were in the data set to then sort these numbers. And so these are in now a random position. If you want to preserve an order of these data, sometimes you can come back to this state. Sometimes it's nice to just put in 1, 2, 3, 4, all right? But that gets really confusing, or that gets really cumbersome if you have thousands of cells in your data set. So one of the things you can do is highlight those and then fill down, and you see it just starts filling in those numbers. Let's just fill it down. So now if you said, original order, double click there to make that cell wider. Let's sort these based on, again, this random number. And what do we get here? We've sorted these number columns based on this random number. Now one thing that you can do then, after you do a bunch of stuff to these data, you could go here and go back to sort by original order, and there goes your original order that you just kind of made, and again that number 13 is back on the top like it was before. One of the things you might want to do then is count. Count the number of cells that have numbers in it. Okay, so that's finding the number of sites that had a certain species, and if you have a blank cell or something, that's nice to do that. So how you do here is go to this insert function, put in count, and okay, it's just count, right? Click OK. This is why I don't really use this all the time. So this is the count. Let's see what happens here. Right, okay, there we go. What it's saying is 21 cells have, we counted from A2 to A22, right? So from A2 down to A22 that had how many cells had actual numbers in it, and it's 21. Now that's not that uncommon, right? We've got 22 minus this top row. That's 21. But if you were to delete something, right, it changes that to 20, 19, and so forth, right? But let's say, if you have a 0 in there, it's still going to count it. Let's say, okay, we got 3 zeros. So you might want to say, okay, if a data set has some zeros, that's a little confusing at times. So let's say we want to count things bigger than 0. The way you can do that is equals Countif, okay? And this counts the number of cells within a range that meet the given condition, okay? So what does that mean? Well, here we go. So the range is, okay, from A2 down to A22. Then this down here kind of shows you what you want to do. You want to put comma, space, and let's say larger than 0. So what you need to do is put quotations greater than 0. Close those quotations, put that parenthesis back in, and hit enter. And what we see here is 18. So of these 21 cells, 18 of them were greater than 0. And we can see that, we've got 1, 2, 3 zeros in there, and then so forth. And we know we can do that again. Equals Countif. Now we could do A2 through A22, space, comma, parentheses greater than 50. Kind of anything we really want, and we see 9 of them are greater than 50. I'm not going to count those up, but I think you kind of get the point here. So let's look at maximum and minimum. Say we want to find the maximum. All you do is equals max, parenthesis, right there. Max was a 99. That's right here, right? Minimum equals minimum of all of those data there. What do we get? There's a 0, right? Not surprising. We remember those zeros that we put in there. But those are, some different functions that we can use. Random numbers and counting and doing some, looking at our data a little bit.